Okay, this is Ken and April's Living a Stout Life sitemap revised and how they hashed through it before. This is our practice run. If you happen to be watching it later, if we decide to put this out there, which is
We're not.
doubtful, we might.
We're
We
not.
might. So when I first started trying to get around and look at everything, I went to your site and I went, okay, it's going to be helpful to just chunk out where everything's at. Because I mean, it's basically the menu, even though you might have a few odds and ends of pages that aren't in that menu. It's basically, that's your site, is everything is in the menu. And so that's what we're working with. But I have an idea for another thing as well that we'll touch on, that will let you just show every page. It's okay, honey, just let it go. So when I went there to map everything out, and I've popped into your site here and there to read a post or just to look at it when we were looking at the homepage or when we were talking about the podcast in the mastermind group, and just never really took a hard look at your architecture other than to just look at that top level and go, oh, you got too many things. And so when I started chunking it out, I kind of felt your overwhelm. And then I also looked at it from, honestly, a perspective of fresh eyes, because I'll tell you right now, I haven't tried to find anything on your site or go to a specific place, except like when you've sent out a link on Facebook or, if there was a specific page you asked me to look at. So that in a way is kind of fresh eyes. And what I saw was, oh man, I'm going to have to go to each one of these pages and figure out what this is so that I can advise them. And then I had like this news flash of, wait a second, if I'm doing this, and this is not about trying to get out of work, I swear to God, if I'm doing this, what about a new person coming there, or somebody else came through a post like I usually do, and they're like, oh, well, what is this? And what's under that category and everything? So then I backed off, and we can't really get that granular. I don't think we have enough time. I mean, we've got all day, but just realistically speaking, we can talk about the purpose of each page and where it belongs and stuff. But what I did, and I'm going to hide me, I think. What I did was I tried to take what I know about you and what I know about your mission, which we can change, and chunk it into the very, very top level basic categories. It's not that we can't include anything else in the menu. It's just, as we've gone over like a lot, the more you include in the menu or anywhere, I mean, the more complicated something is, the less attention anything is likely to get. So you have to think through, you have to prioritize. It's not that you can't get somebody to the work with us page. It's how they get there, who needs to get there. And so, especially with the homepage, but like, you want to give people an overview of what you're about and kind of channel them into the places they're looking for. And so the homepage is one way you do that, but the main menu is the top way that you do that. So what I did was tried to categorize it into, you guys are all about places on a super high level. And I put that in parentheses on this this first item, because the verbiage needs to probably change. And April is an ace at that. If anybody is listening, if we do put this out there and you don't know, but so that verbiage can change as long as it communicates clearly what it's about. But places, you guys go to mountain biking trails, you go to breweries, you go to Cabo, and you live and travel in an RV. So we're not trying to necessarily get rid of categories, but we're trying to think about what is a logical place or like a higher level category for it to live in. So there's that. Community is another thing you guys are huge on. And exactly what that is a little bit nebulous from that label, but you do need a single, a concise label. I think that's probably a pretty good one to chunk a lot of your stuff into. Over here, posts is basically your blog. That can be, or it is a blog. A lot of stuff can go in here. I haven't looked at how your categories are set up, but I have a feeling all of these things over here, these are just things that I took out from under here that didn't clearly, or that we needed to talk about where they should go. So a lot of that is probably going to fall under posts. And then I think you're probably going to want to limit it to, some reasonable number of categories under here, whether that's, craft beer, breweries, or something like that. Actually, these are just writings generally. And then places, I think your Stout Life approved, your breweries and stuff like that, possibly your brewery directory, although that could end up being a big thing and should probably have its own thing when that gets more fleshed out. But all of your posts, I think, should go under here. You should have some main categories and, think through that and put it under here. And then usually the about page is just kind of a general overview of your site and then a little bit about yourself. And I saw, let's see, more about us here. And there's also an Our Story page. And so I think I haven't looked at specifically what these pages are, and you guys know them. So this is my, fresh eyes perspective on that. That probably needs to be a deeper dive. This probably needs to be a dedicated page. Both of these needs to be a deeper dive into you guys. And then you get people there by this nav item, whatever it's titled. It doesn't have to be Our Story, but actually I think that's a good story or a good label for both Our Story and More About Us. And then kind of like we did on the Integrated Natural Health website, you put like an overview, just a very small paragraph or two on that about page, because the about page is really about what you're trying to do with this site, and then a little bit about you and about who this site is for. So it's more like an about for the site, and then you introduce yourselves, try to get people into that. Work with us, self-explanatory. You can also link to that page from Our Story and then contact us. So this is the only one. This is the only one that I have actually kind of done for you guys. So I'm going to turn that off. And
so real quick, Teresa, on that, like on the about section. So would you say that like the actual about link, that page that's in the nav bar, would be in the top level? Would that also act as kind of a home page to that section as well? So like, you would have a brief overview on there, and then you'd have links out to like Our Story and Work With Us and things like that, but also still have those things listed as a drop-down menu. So you kind of hit it from two different directions.
Yes, and it's perfectly okay to do that. You want to try to think through what's logical, the logical groupings, but people think differently, so you just try to do it from wherever it makes sense. And the other thing, and I don't want to make this seem like a junk drawer or an afterthought, because it's totally not, but we can do the top nav in the way that makes sense for everybody, that streamlines it, that gets the things where they belong and have it not turn into a monster. We could go to 3 levels if we have to. I don't think you need to do that. I think some of these blocks, and we'll go through them, and think about what should just go and not be broken out, or not be broken out at this time, because the WordPress menus, they're easy to change. You just delete a thing, no big deal. Right. That said, footers, where you've got this big section and you have your categories and your top nav items all broken out, so all the things that people need to be able to go to are listed, that can work really well if it's well organized. So that may be something that's worth doing after you get the basic organization down with the nav. So we have it?
No, we don't have it.
Okay. Right. It's almost like a site map, basically, right? The footer.
It really is. I mean, you're still going to filter some.
Right.
I'm going back over to Keynote now. Some of these, I'm not sure what they're about. Or they might be duplicates. Others, I think you can do differently. I stuck the store over here because, I mean, that's probably part of a larger conversation. Maybe store belongs under community and you rename this swag shop or something like that. That's fun and clear about what it is. If the store is sucking up more time than it's worth, maybe it goes away. Join the journey. I would want to know what that is. It sounds more fun than subscribe, but I hate to say it. It's just better to be. You have to compromise between creativity and clarity. It's better to err on the side of clarity. A lot of times you can do both. April's really good at that. But you need to make that clear that it's a subscribe page. But that said, I don't know that it doesn't need to be in the top nav. Maybe that's another thing that's under community. Subscribe. But you don't make a big deal about it because you've got a subscribe form on your homepage. You've probably got one on your footer. If you don't, you can put one there. So it's not a matter of this has no place in our site. It's just like, okay, if you can only get people to pay attention to 3 things or 5 things, what are those 3 or 5 things going to be? And that's what's top level. I'm looking at your questions. So you asked, what's important for people to see at first glance on the menu? And you think everything is important, so you have too many items.
Yeah.
I think we covered that.
Right. We've kind of hit everybody with a shotgun blast. And
yeah,
they're like, I don't know which way to look.
Right. And, what will people click on in a drop-down menu? You got to organize the site in a way that's most clear and most streamlined, and then just expect to make adjustments. And it doesn't hurt to throw it out there. And then if you're not sure, you can even create completely separate menus so you don't have to redo one and just make that menu your main menu. It's super easy to do that in WordPress, so you don't have to delete all your changes every time. So yes, you asked, are we currently using the WordPress tools in the proper way to organize our menu? Yes, you are. Yes, these are the types of questions we were thinking of. So that's everything. And we have to go back to Be Live. There we are. So I guess, what other questions did that elicit any questions?
A little bit because, well, I guess maybe one thing we're not doing, and I think you've mentioned this to us anyway, is our homepage needs to be a homepage instead of a blog roll, which right now it's kind of just the traditional blog roll, right?
Right.
And we need to take advantage of that homepage and make it something that can also act as navigation, basically. So we can highlight different pieces that may be deeper in the nav bar. You might have to drill down a little bit to get to that same thing that might be featured on the homepage.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It's a trade-off, but
right.
You can change those blocks on the homepage for things that kind of fit your agenda, because yes, this is about your visitor, but it's also about your putting out this content and you have an agenda too, and it's not a nefarious agenda, it's a good agenda.
Right.
You want people to do certain things, so you just have to prioritize what those things are going to be. And so, yeah, I mean, in some ways, if the homepage might mirror it, but I see it as more changing. Not that the nav is super permanent and set in stone.
Right. Well, one thing I was thinking of as an example was something like podcast. Like, so if the podcast maybe doesn't take up a top line nav bar item, it fits underneath one of those categories.
Exactly.
But on the home page, it can have, here's our latest podcast, like up front and center.
Yeah.
Because it's the new, fresh content.
Exactly. And I don't mean to get into redesigning your homepage, but I would love to get into redesigning your homepage. But just for the sake of addressing that question,
right?
The way that you are doing it, the way that you are sharing your podcast on your blog is already perfectly set up to automatically have a section that features your latest podcast or your latest 4 podcasts, because I'm sure you're categorizing those posts as podcasts.
Right.
And so you can set up a block to pull in your most recent posts from that category. Boom, end of story. You don't have to think about it. You just categorize your post.
Right. And that we kind of have done we have a podcast page, which is like our podcast homepage basically. And so it's got, here's our podcast, here's where you can find it, here's the 4 or 5 most recent ones, and that's in a widget that just pulls in the most recent ones, things like that. So we could add that type of widget on the homepage maybe, or at least it just features the most recent one.
I don't know where that fits into the navigation hierarchy just yet. Like how are people going to want to discover that content? But I don't know that it should just there's got to be a high level term that along the lines of posts that would get people there, not just posts. It could be blog, but then blog makes you think of just
I hate blog.
Yeah.
That's writing.
I hate blog, I hate post.
Well, it's just the term blog, even though it's become a more professional thing. At least in my mind, I still think of it more as in, Johnny down in his basement, writing whatever.
Oh no, it's not like that. But the problem with the term blog is that it just communicates writing, not the fact that a post might also be video around a podcast.
Could be media.
Exactly. No, media.
That makes people think of press releases and shit like that.
Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe we noodle on that for a while, but it could be posts from the road. I mean, something like that. So, let's see.
So basically, we have to decide. So it's going to look different if we keep our website the way it is compared to if we actually have a homepage. Am I correct in understanding that?
What do you mean, the navigation bars?
The navigation is independent of what we were talking about with the homepage.
Yeah, I think the homepage just gives us another avenue to highlight specific content.
Right, but if you have a homepage, then you don't need a video link, a navigation menu piece that says podcast. Because
sure
you can highlight.
Where are they coming from?
Well, because the navigation's on every page, not just the homepage.
Do you know why the homepage tends to be the most visited on a website?
What was that?
Do you know why the homepage tends to be the most visited page on the website?
Because it's the first place you see. Why?
It's the second. Because most people do not come in through that door. I mean, check your analytics, but usually people come in because they link
and then you click
another post, and then they're like, oh, let me see what else you linked. Like they clicked to Facebook or YouTube or whatever.
Just as an aside, did you guys look at your analytics this week?
Yes, I check them pretty much. Like we had a really good week.
The beer born in the barn was that really got a lot of clicks.
And again,
Because
it was because they shared it
share
too.
it.
And that their community is very active on social media.
Did you ask them for a backlink on their website?
What did I ask them for?
I thought you did.
What's their website
I
like?
thought you said they were going to or something.
I asked for a bunch of them, so I can't remember if it was they were
Gotta
one
go
of
back
them.
through our notes.
You need to keep track of which ones you ask for.
See, April, I told you they would.
I'm asking.
They would add to the percentage of time that this would take. See?
Of course.
I'm not goofing off though. This is real shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Version. So yeah, back to your original question, April, about if we have the homepage and we're listing the podcast there, why do we need it elsewhere? That's just one way of organizing it. I think that you need to still put important things in the navigation menu, and then also let's figure out later. You can figure out later, or we can talk about this another time, that footer menu that has all the stuff.
So am I understanding it wrong then? What's the thing that you showed us that's on the screen right now? Isn't that a possible menu?
I'm trying to, I don't get this mirror with the with the camera.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
this is the very basic start.
So where's podcast?
It's not there yet. I took all the stuff that you see outside of this basic four things plus the homepage on the main nav, and chunked them to the side so that we could talk about where they need to be,
or whether they need to be something,
or whether they need to be somewhere at all.
Combine a couple of pages or whatever, because you got a ton of shit in your navigation.
Right.
So,
and when we did it, it made sense, but it made sense to us. We weren't thinking through the lens of everybody else.
Yeah, make sure you have that with you.
We were trying to, but
we were totally trying to.
We were trying to, but
make sure you have that piece of paper when we do the live on Thursday. I love that.
Yeah, it's perfect. So let's see.
That's probably how most of us do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
start out with the main menu. Our main menu started out with like
4 things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
4 or 5 things, and then I don't know where it went. How it got to that.
It happens. Okay. I'm probably ruining this so that you can't see it.
Because we added adventure.
I can't. Did you send them this?
No, this isn't the new one. This is
we have the old one.
Okay, I'm gonna make.
We have the heat map of our site, basically.
Okay.
Or not heat map, but
the content map. Yeah.
Okay. So I have to. I'm trying to make it bigger.
That's what she said.
He's all mine.
We have that one. Oh wait, force lighting.
Why don't you just email this one to him real quick?
So, let's talk about each one of these, I guess, and see where it might belong.
Resources.
So resources was or currently is a top level category. Yes. What is the purpose of that page?
Well, resources itself is only a category, to make a menu item. It's actually not a page that stands anywhere.
Okay.
It was used to organize things, as in we were talking about this after we talked to you a little bit last time about menus, and maybe resources should be a subcategory of craft beer and a subcategory of travel instead of a major top level category. Because it made sense that, okay, here's where all your resources are.
Okay,
yeah, but if
let me
you're
ask you
looking
this.
for travel versus craft beer, that could be a little confusing, I think.
Well, that's how it says resources, and then underneath that it has craft beer, travel, and then location independent. But like Kenny was just saying, maybe it'd be better if we had the breweries and beer one that's already there, and then underneath the beer or whatever, then you'd also have resources instead of having resources be a main menu.
Okay, it becomes, I guess, the sub menu or when you have that top level resources, that item doesn't mean anything to me, and I might click on it just out of curiosity to see what's under it, and then it will make sense. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that it needs its own menu item. I think the things under it need to go where they belong. And so let's see what's under that now. I don't have your website open. Let me get there.
It's got craft beer, travel, and location independent business are the 3 sub menus of resources.
So when we first thought about that, we were thinking, okay, someone might want to know, like, oh, how do I pair beer and food? So that makes sense. I'm like, I'm going to look under resources and then I can find it under craft beer. But then because it's a blog thing, we have to like scroll through everything to find something like that.
Yeah.
I think we kind of thought backwards.
Yeah, I'm not like it, food pairing or any other more granular category. I'm not going to think about food pairing to go there. And if I do, I'm going to look at craft beer. I'm not going to think there's food pairing in here or anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, you guys write so much about beer that I don't know what I'm going to find in this craft beer category because it's very general. And
oh yeah. Yeah, so it makes sense if you want to find something out about beer, then you would look under a menu item that says beer. Not resources.
Right, but even then, are we talking about breweries? Are we talking about tasting? Are we talking about the
right
stout conversations? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Obviously, yeah.
And I'm not.
Okay, so the category breweries and beer, for example, I know we're talking about resources, but the menu item breweries and beer is meant to be expanded upon later, but because that's the place that we are going to put like a map of all the breweries that we've been to, and then have a listing basically of all the breweries, and then have links out to other articles that we've written about those breweries or stout conversations that we've done.
Yeah,
but
that's going to be huge. It's going to be
yeah. That's why I don't know. We haven't figured that part out yet, but that's where breweries and beer was going to be more of a category and not just our Stout Life Approved. We don't really know what to do with the Stout Life Approved thing yet now because we haven't been writing a lot on that either. So
I think probably pull it down but leave the page. Pull it out of the navigation, but leave the page up because let's see. I was trying to resist going to the actual content to figure out what it is, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to think about people seeing this with fresh eyes. So this could be what that program is about, right? Or it could be for a brewery to sign up for it. Or is it are you thinking this is the breweries that are Stout Life approved?
Stout Life approved?
Yeah.
Those are just ones that we wrote about that we're like, oh, this place is awesome. We didn't interview them or anything, but we're like, this place is great. So then this was like when we first started the website. So we wrote about it. And then like we have to label it something like, oh, I love Stout Life approved. So now though, with the Stout Life approved, that's when we started thinking like, wouldn't it be really cool if like you had stickers? Remember like that whole conversation I think we've talked about before. Yeah. Breweries want this Stout Life approved sticker on their door, and we just haven't done anything with that yet.
Yeah. So, but what is different from Stout Life approved or what is different about Stout Life approved and the breweries and beer? Because you're not going to write about anything that is not cool. You're not going to send people.
Right.
True. That's why. So let me get to. So that's why when we were talking about when the breweries and beer menu, when it eventually gets into something more, that we wanted to do like what craftbeer.com has. But let me get to this. Show him. Kenny has some, I don't know. You look like you wanted to show him something.
No, I was pulling it up because I was looking at their menu to see how they break it up.
So eventually we want something on our website that people are like, okay, what does Living a Stout Life think of this brewery? Or where should we go? We want to go on a brewery tour. Where should we go? Let's look at Living a Stout Life first. So when they come up to breweries and beer, they pull it up, whatever category we just choose it to be, whether it's breweries or beer or both. They pull that menu up or that page up, and it's a huge map, and you're like, oh, we're going to Colorado. So they click on Colorado, and then that brings up all the breweries that we've been to, categorized by like region or whatever, and then links to all the things that we've done with them, like whether it's a Stout conversation or a podcast or a article we wrote on them or whatever. So that's kind of that home base for all the places that we've gone.
Yep.
And we were going to rank it because I have a what's it called, draft started for this.
Okay.
And we had like rankings that we were going to use. So like if it's one of our favorites, it would have like a little symbol that's our favorite. And then we have like a disclaimer that says we're never going to recommend or even really talk bad about a brewery. So if we didn't like it and we went there, you just won't even know we went there because we won't even have it.
So everything that's on there is Stout Life approved.
Right. And that's what you were saying. And that was the long way to get to that.
Yeah. So unless we actually make it an official program where people get verified or something, it really holds no weight. Or it's not important to have its own category right now.
Yeah. It's not.
So
because we don't have a application process and you're approved, you get a sticker and blah blah blah. It's not something like that.
So what I think is you're going to need that page because people look to you for advice on which breweries to go to, and this is something you're building, and it may not be a complete thing yet, but you can help yourself out building it. But I think beer and breweries, is that
breweries
the
and
label?
beer.
Breweries and beer is the perfect label for all of those posts. And I don't know if it goes in addition to, I think because of the fact that you guys also write about traveling to different places, that are usually there's a brewery stop, but not always. Places is probably or something along those lines is a better descriptor, and breweries and beer should go under there. But I almost hate to bury it.
Yeah.
But you know how much weight, what's the priority as far as mountain biking trails, beer, everything, or is it just too interconnected to separate out? I mean, what label can we give it that would cover everything and be intuitive for people?
It's a good question.
I don't know. That's where we struggled before, and that's.
Is there any? Are there any posts that are only about travel or only about destinations?
Probably not, because I try to keep that topic in there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Beer, yeah.
Beer, yeah.
I mean,
beer is just
Arizona. There might be a couple, but even then, here we talked about beer.
Okay, then.
I mean, almost everything has a beer element to it.
Here's the thing, though, that what's unique about, I don't know if I don't want to judge from our use of your site and your expertise, but does your audience come to your site because you also are they looking for mountain biking trails and riding advice and what's the breweries and trail kind of thing?
I don't think they're looking to us for mountain biking advice or trail reports.
Not really, because we don't really do that. And I mean, we talk about trails we go to and things like that as more of an overarching view of an area.
Okay.
Like when we're in Sedona, Arizona, we talk about here's a cool brewery kind of stops or, beer places to hit up, but throw in a restaurant that we like and mountain bike trails that we go to.
It's more like, what can we do when we're there besides just visiting a brewery?
And you know what? Then
that falls under the craft beer lifestyle.
Yeah. So
right.
Here's what I think. This goes away.
All our targeted stuff is beer.
Places goes away. doubled down on breweries and beer, even though they're posts. When you get Stout Life approved, that whole thing, that's probably going to be, a graphic and the dedicated page for where breweries can email you or whatever, or get on or apply to be Stout Life approved or whatever. But right now we don't need it. So I think that goes away. This is breweries and beer. All of your posts on craft beer, the breweries and everything get organized under here, and then posts is everything else. And we can certainly break those down into categories, even though there's going to be overlap. Though some of these might be appropriate over here, but I feel like everything, it's the weight of your content is like beer and everything else, beer and breweries and everything else. Is that
I
fair?
think that's true. I think that's true because beer is pretty much in everything.
There are a few articles that they're not. It's not.
A handful, but not a lot.
And then that's okay. And that's like, I felt like when I ran across random writings, I went, what? It's not that you can't or shouldn't put those things on your blog, because when you're living like this and when you are creating a following, the people that are interested in you, there's going to be just 10% of those random, or 5 or 10% of random posts that are like, oh, wow, this happened. And it's not specific, like the freaking COVID pandemic and everything, and the things that you wrote about that people will be interested in reading. They're not going to be primary focus, but you don't need to break those out separately. People are going to find them because they're regularly consuming your blog and your writing and they care about it. But we don't want to put random writings. I assume that's what it is, like the things that kind of didn't fit.
Yeah, he calls it my journal.
Her personal journal.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
which isn't, and I wasn't against it because it's like gives people an insight into her character more too.
Yeah. And so those,
which I should probably write some
personal. They're very personal. They resonate with people, and they might resonate with people outside your audience that really would never touch or walk into a brewery. And that's okay. They can read that and then they can go, oh, I love April, but no beer, and leave. But your other people who love all of you will be like, oh, cool. But if that's all you wrote about, that's a separate blog. If it's 5 to 10%, perfect. Don't break it out into its separate category. And that goes for whatever is under here. So I would like throw away random writings. Like, well, this category didn't have what am I trying to say? I need to put these over here because we haven't really talked about all of this stuff. I'm running out of space.
Sorry. I mean, it's not.
See, that means we went over the top.
Over the top.
Well, yeah. Random writings was under our story.
Say it again.
Random writings was living underneath our story. The top menu item was our story.
Right.
And random writings was
about us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we already decided we don't need, did we decide we don't need resources, or did I just kind of railroad you into that?
No, we can agree on that.
No, we agree on that.
We need to put those somewhere else.
They need to fall somewhere better.
Okay. Are we in agreement on more about us and our story?
Well, our story's already under about.
I know but I basically told them combine these 2 pages and stick it here.
Wait, what?
She told us to stick it.
Combine
what 2 pages?
Are we on the same page with our story and more about us, where that's a combined page that is more of a deep dive into you guys, and as long as you want it, but it's your story.
Right, it's under about us.
But we don't even have a page.
What do you mean? Well, we gotta combine stuff and make stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And you don't have to do this all like today or whatever.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening.
Yeah, you got a slide to fix. Jeebus. Okay.
That's not happening either.
Are you working tonight, Ken? Are they fighting tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm working tonight.
Yeah. Thing too quickly.
Yeah, one of the fighters actually tested positive yesterday.
Oh, good God.
For what?
Corona.
For what?
Oh,
I'm like, for what?
fucking Corona.
That's why you don't get a cerveza fight day.
Oh.
But, you know, they tested everyone upon arrival, and then told them basically just pretty much stay in your room. If you go out of your room, wear a mask, stay apart from everybody else. And that's what they did pretty much. And we actually have a guy down there. They allowed a handful of media, and we're one of the few outlets that got to go. And so we have a guy down there shooting video and stuff. And he was tested too as soon as he got there.
Wow.
And they have to undergo medical screenings every day, get their temperature checked, answer a bunch of questions. And then the fighters also got tested for COVID a second time yesterday. So, but so far it was him and his 2 cornermen tested positive. And then
V-Live added these widgets that we could pop up on the screen. You can change your temperature. You can change the number of days. I don't like them.
Funny.
We're not going to use them.
Oh, that one's funny though. That was perfect timing.
Well, just because we happen to talk about it, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Now let's look at stories in videos.
What are stories?
What are stories? That's very nice.
Well, that was one story. Well, if you go into podcasts and videos and it's stories, that was Omaha Brewing.
Stories was Omaha Brewing?
Pretty much. And a Broken Compass and a Bold.
Okay, well, so that's under breweries and beer. So I'm going to say this goes over here.
So we put it under there simply because it was a stout conversation. Like it was supposed to be kind of a video thing, but it didn't work out that way because the video that we took, they were not working well. So we turned it into a full-on like feature-length article.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is, it's about the brewery and the beer.
Yeah. Okay, so that can go away. Are all of the videos the stout conversation?
Yes.
Okay, so I think this needs to go over here, and we need to be better about describing what it is.
I can't see it.
It's under like posts.
And I don't know what the verbiage is on that.
Saying, that's just what she threw in there right now. Okay. It's not a.
What am I breaking things? What did I do?
No, she's like, I don't like the word post, and I'm like, well, that's
but
that's why it's in parentheses.
It's in parentheses.
This is just
it's a working title.
Organizing.
Yeah,
this is just how to organize shit together, and then the names.
Because it really is, April. It's about all, like, you know how when you blog, everything goes into that one feed, and people that love your stuff want to see the whole dang thing, and they want a category that makes sense that they can go there, but that doesn't mean you don't break out things below it. But they got to understand these are your latest. It can be, I don't want to say news, that's a bad one. Just
right. So latest content.
It's kind of like,
it makes sense to have that one category, and I really do want to boss you on that, but I don't care what the name is as long as it makes sense to other people. And we don't have to come up with it on this call, but I feel like something will bubble up. And we used to, in the design firm, we used to get into these philosophical discussions with the designers about, you know, them not wanting to stick to convention. You just have to know, you know, that convention about you put the logo in the upper left-hand corner because people expect they can click on the logo and go home, or you use some verbiage that everybody else uses. It's not super creative, but they know that it's your blog or your post, or where they can go to see the last thing that you've posted. So a way to get around that kind of, I don't like this word, is come up with a word that's still clear, whether it's I hate blog, but I'm okay with posts or something else, and then add your own twist on it, as long as you're not going over 2 or 3 words. So
that is like a news, like you said, like a news feed that you can see everything that was done, but then you also have some of those in other categories.
Yeah, that's where you're putting categories.
Slicing and dicing it.
Got it.
It's not like you're really changing your categories or anything.
You're just giving people an easier, more intuitive way to find your content, and they can do it in more than one way.
Okay.
Right. So, and I understand
what I
what
was
you're
thinking
saying
with this.
about not liking that verbiage because
Okay.
it has to work for you, but you'll think of something that will work for both you guys and the people that are going to most enjoy your stuff. So
Yeah.
whatever that
Well,
is.
That's the key, is finding what works for people who are going to find our shit. So. That's more important than whether we like it or not.
Right. Sadly.
Yeah.
And then so the videos are all Stout conversations. I'm going to put parentheses around this, and I'll share this file with you guys so you can mess with it some more, because I know you're Mac users and you have Keynote.
Yes, we do.
So then we need to move on. We're taking a ton of their time, and they got to get going. So
We're
what
good.
time do you guys got to roll out?
We rolled this morning.
Yeah, we drove a little bit this morning, and we're gonna drive like another couple hours, and probably spend the night at Cracker Barrel and Little Rock.
Yeah, we drove all the way to Jackson, Mississippi last night, and spent the night there at a Cracker Barrel.
From Foley?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we drove a little bit this morning, and we're in some podunk town.
I don't know where the hell we're at.
I don't even remember the name of it. We just stopped here to have the meeting and stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
So we've only got a couple hours to go to get to Little Rock. We're good.
Well, we're willing to work through the whole dang thing with you, and get all of this under here. We don't have to record the whole thing, but chunk these things into the categories they belong in, if that's helpful. If you need to get going, that's fine too.
If we need to tell you to shut up, we'll tell you to shut up.
Okay. Well, and part of it, we can do some of it on here, and because I feel like we're starting to get, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like I'm starting to get a feel for how to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the important part, is learning to work through it so you understand how to organize it. And then it might even be beneficial if we don't complete it all, so that we can work through some of it ourselves. And then when we go on to do the actual live for users, to talk a little bit more about how we went through the process and what we come up with.
Perfect.
And what you guys see is okay, why'd you do this? And maybe did you ever think of doing this instead of that?
Perfect. Okay. So I will send you that file and you guys can do it. And as far as I know, you guys can share screen too. Do what?
Don't leave yet. I want some more help though.
Oh yeah. No, we're still
okay.
Yeah, we can go. We can totally go.
So let's talk about craft beer tourist travel and adventures.
Which is
where'd that
come from? All of this stuff.
Are those things all the same?
Well, on the menu right now, the main one is adventures, and then it drops down to craft beer biking and craft beer tourist.
All right, where's travel?
Craft beer tourist.
It's right here. We changed it.
I don't think we have it anywhere listed as travel.
No.
Oh, okay.
Other than we have travel under resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And see, that I think goes back to the whole, you guys are all about the adventure of going to breweries and
right.
beer, and that's the 50%, and all the rest of the stuff is great. It belongs under your not posts, whatever those are, your unblog. So all that belongs there, but that's just what you guys do. I don't think you have to necessarily break it out. So I'm thinking this one, this one, this one, and this one, right?
I can't see what she's got.
I don't know which
one. I don't know what you clicked on.
Oh, I see. You just moved stuff.
What's she moving it?
She's moving it over to the right side, which is the discard pile.
This is the discard pile. Exactly. This is why I do sitemaps in Keynote. I just love it. It's just so nice. You can line it up.
Basically, we've broken everything down too far, maybe in some ways.
Yes.
For a menu.
So
down too far.
Nita Memoirs. That is.
Yeah.
I think it's just posts. It goes in posts.
It depends on what we decide to do with community, but that whole community thing needs to be refigured out again.
Yeah.
So
this I want to see this. I don't know that you're ready to do that just yet, but
I don't know.
What's
You can
that?
go there and be hidden.
yeah, it could go there and be hidden.
What is it?
Meetups.
Under community.
We'll make it like coming.
It's again, yeah, it's again. It was something that we had this huge vision for, and we haven't done enough with yet.
Yeah, we got lots of those ourselves.
Yeah, so I made it light gray. Let's see, and we love Stout Life approved, but it's not really discarded, but it's going over here until it's a big thing. Okay.
Let it simmer.
Right.
I do like the idea of a Stout Life approved program.
The podcast.
We're actually getting to
Let's put the podcast up here because it's hot to do.
Under unblog.
Under posts.
Under the posts. That's
unblog.
not
under the unblog. What is the Swag Club?
I know what that is.
It's Patreon.
It's what?
Patreon. Where they and they send T-shirts and glassware and coasters.
But I was thinking that people might like swag, and so the way I labeled it was like Stout Life or Swag Club, and I was going off of other blog posts and other people that I've seen, like Keep Your Daydream and other like I can't remember the names of them that have something like a club. So I thought it'd be cooler to name it that, and people might click on it versus Patreon give me money. But then other people are telling me it should just be
okay, but people don't know what that is, and they don't know what you want them to do.
Well, I thought because it was swag, they'd be like interested. Oh, cool.
Oh, wait.
But it's
does that say?
Be a Stout Lifer.
Does that say enough?
What? I don't know. I can't see any of that.
Be a Stout Lifer.
But what do you mean? Does that stay enough?
Does that tell people
become a Stout Lifer?
Yeah, how they can kind of join you guys and support you guys. This says that they can be one of you or something. It doesn't say exactly what, but it's under community. Something like that suggests support. And then the swag is the added bonus.
Well, yeah, because I mean on the video, the button that you have to push to go to the Patreon is become a Stout Lifer.
Okay.
Why are we not a Stout Lifer, Brian?
Because it costs money.
It's Patreon. Right? Exactly.
And they send you shit every month. And we've already got too much shit.
It's true.
They send us shit every month.
That would be it. Yeah, the Patreon
we need a virtual level.
You get coasters and glassware. And
it's called Donate Money.
Okay, if you go to the Patreon page, you can get the Pillar Pilsners, and that's just virtual stuff.
Okay. Has anybody signed up?
No.
Oh, see, we need them to sign up. We need them to be Stout Lifers. What is crafting community?
Where did that go? Community. Crafting community. I don't know.
That's a good question. We don't even remember, right?
It's usually when we talk about
it's under community.
Yeah. What? Oh. Okay, our explanation for it says there's many ways to build a community. We've crafted ours with intention, focused on craft beer and beverages, biking, snowboarding, travel, other adventures. But it all comes down to the people, and these are the stories of bringing our community together.
How is that?
So it's what we do anyway.
It's all what we do anyhow.
Okay, discard pile.
Yeah. That kind of stuff needs that verbiage that you just said. I don't know what's on community. Maybe that's just a NAB label, but that needs to be on community. So, this is not the discard pile.
Well, maybe community isn't even a NAV label by itself. Maybe that's a sub. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No,
well, because we do
community.
Because communities are a big thing, but we just haven't figured out how to
We haven't targeted it correctly.
So it's community and beer, community beer and travel are basically it. That's what it is.
Because community could be things like meetups, could be Stout Life approved if we get a program going where these are Stout Life breweries.
Oh yeah, that's what
they could be under the community and under beer. They could fall in two places, right? I mean, that's not...
we're gonna make this gray for like coming soon or something. Or maybe Stout Life approved breweries. That's what we need to do.
I think
Oh no,
community
that's
needs to not be a lot of blog posts. I
actually
think
needs
it
to be
needs to
under
be
here.
events like we started talking about.
Okay.
Meetups. I think community needs to not be all these different blog posts. I think community needs to be like how to meet up, where we meet up. It needs to be like actual building community.
Put the store there too, perhaps.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Put the store under community.
Yeah.
The Patreon, the store, and the meetups. That's.
Yeah, because those are things that you participate in. All of them.
Good idea. We said this is going away.
That makes sense. The community is a participation thing.
Right.
He's doing that right. I don't take notes.
And then unblog is content.
And breweries and beer is content as well.
Right. Just more targeted.
All right.
This April, you could probably. I'm gonna put this as a. You could probably think of a name that would communicate both that it's the shop and that they can wear your stuff and support you guys and spread the word and all of that crap, whatever, a couple of words. So let's just put that under.
Give us money.
Oh, and fix your store.
What?
What's wrong with the store?
You can't get to your account in the store unless you type in the link directly, and nobody knows to do that unless they're a web geek.
Yeah, what?
To like check on your account status.
Yeah.
There's no way to log in unless there's no link to log in and check your order status, see your previous. Unless you just like figure it out because you're a nerd.
Right.
Which is how I did it. So that's what I knew.
Okay.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I know what he's talking about.
Join the journey. Maybe that's
footer.
That's no. Yes, it's going to go in the footer, but that's another way that they can join your community. It just needs to be clear what this is.
Subscribe.
So you need to make sure that it has a connotation of subscribing as well.
But I do like the verbiage. It's got to be.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick this under community.
Yeah.
And
so what, I have to say subscribe on there, and then here it can say join the journey?
Oh, yeah.
So it could say subscribe on the menu underneath community.
But the page.
And then it could be join the journey on the actual page with subscribe to our newsletter and blah, blah, blah.
As you know, because you are WordPress menu whizzes, you can make the menu item say something different without changing the URL. Okay, 2 left. My God, we're doing great. What is location independent business?
Well, when we first started, we were writing things about how we did what we did. So like how we transitioned from.
Are you still doing it?
Some.
Not very often.
Is it important?
I think
I guess there's a lot of like inspirational stuff in there too, because me and my thing is like, I want you should live the life that you want to live, and so this is how you do it. So there are some things in there that do that as well.
So that goes, we could throw that not as a category by itself, but more into the things that are not beer related in the unblog.
But
yeah, because there are really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 7, 8 posts in there.
Yep. But there's another way to pull these out that will
They're
get
like
the right
things
people there. Sir?
No.
Sorry, I was saying
talking.
They were things like how to make an Etsy shop. Sorry, I was.
So the ones that you would want to pull out, I don't think you need that category, and I'm not just saying that because I want to get rid of the clutter. It's just like we've talked about. Your main thing is the craft beer, and then everything else is kind of who you are. But some of those posts would be great to link to in the context of your revised Our Story. Like, this is how we're making, like, for example, we do blah, 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 for example, blah, and you have a link to that post from your about page in the context. So people might want to know more about it rather than making your page huge long. You can have just an overview sentence about the time that we decided to try starting an Etsy shop, or whatever the thing is that's actually more appropriate. And it's linked to from there. So you can pull out those posts and link to them. And the people that want to do that deeper dive about exactly where your journey goes with regard to running a business on the road, they will do that. That will be the exact right people to get there. But you don't need a nav item for it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to remember that? Because I might not.
So, I kind of get it. Because in a way, to me, it's the way you say it there. Our site isn't about that. That's not the overarching importance of our site. We're not trying to teach people how to live on the road.
Right.
It's a small piece. So people aren't
But I want
coming to
inspire
our
them
site.
too, so that's why
I know,
wrote it.
but people aren't coming to our site searching for all that very much. And the people that are really into that are going to be able to find it.
Right. And the people that are interested in your people, they're going to want to read it. It's going to resonate with them. It's just like the post April wrote about sitting down for 5 minutes, the post about COVID and all of that crap. They will care about you. They will go to your about page, because even if they came through a craft beer post, who are these people? What are they doing? What? They live in an RV. And they'll get there because you linked to it in the context of that post. And you've handpicked those that you feel like most convey part of your story.
And if they don't give a shit about you and just want to know about the beer, they can get there quick too.
That's fine. It just sounds like I need my own blog.
Maybe.
You may need your own blog.
I do, but I don't have time for it.
I don't need another job.
I do need my own blog because I have all kinds of things that I want to do, but not right now.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, you can still write it and save it and wait until later to post it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if it winds up where you want to devote a huge chunk of your writing, like 20 or 30% or more to your personal writing, then yeah, it might be a good thing to do to start somewhere else. You can always go to WordPress.com and just start a free blog or a private blog and start blogging. All that stuff can get exported if you decide to do another full-blown site.
Yeah, I have like several blogs out there in the world somewhere.
I
started it and I can't remember what I did.
No.
Another orphans.
So we have one thing left that says craft beer. Actually, this should be craft breweries and beer. Craft, not just
Yeah, probably.
craft breweries and just probably not craft beer. I don't know. So this was probably a nav item. Let me see where.
Yeah, resources. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was under craft beer resources. What is craft beer resources?
What?
Craft beer resources?
Craft beer resources.
Yeah, under resources, the craft beer link.
It follows into that whole same thing of taking things like beer and food pairing cheat sheet, things like that, and putting them into a resources category.
Our page,
instead of putting them under beer.
Our page,
which is where we screwed up.
Our page description says, wondering what kind of beer is what? Looking for terms and definitions and guides. How about advice on how to find the best craft brewery? You found it. It's like right here. So we have like our craft beer travelers top 5, gift ideas for travel and craft beer lovers, best craft beer holiday gifts, crafting holiday traditions with beer, how to find great craft breweries, making malt sexy.
Oh,
Great American Beer Festival, Survival Guide,
so
Beer Festival.
Navigation.
What is craft beer?
I think all that would still fall under craft breweries and beer, right? I mean,
it'd be underneath. It's a sub item of craft breweries and beer, but it probably needs to be called something.
It needs to suggest advice
or education
or guides.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kicking everything to April, but because she's good with words.
Yeah, so everything like in parentheses you got to rename.
So our whole site, rename our site, and I'll rebuild it.
Yeah, because we have the craft beer and food pairing cheat sheet, ales versus lagers, 10 tips on how to enjoy your first beer festival, 4 simple life lessons learned in a craft brewery, home brewing in small spaces.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and it's all educational type content.
I like advice and education, something along that lines.
I like that too.
Okay.
Beer kit.
I don't know. I think it sounds like it's her teacher voice.
Beer school.
Beer school, yeah.
Someone does that. Like,
do they?
One of our friends has something like that. We just did a podcast with them. You guys were on yeah.
Huh?
Never mind. Keep going.
We weren't on a podcast.
No, it was a Facebook Live thing.
101 or something like that, or enjoying craft beer 101 or something. I don't know. You'll come up with something.
Oh, he must live with his mama. Redneck in the truck. He's bringing home.
I
He bring the flowers.
gossip.
Sorry.
Rails, Brian.
Okay, so let's look at this now. What?
Yes, this is good stuff.
Can you see it?
That's what we got. I mean, we did it. What?
I could see it as a.
Yeah, the stuff in the middle is the what's going to be in the actual navigation. The stuff on the side is going to be other things.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to have to put that by itself on the screen so they can actually see it.
What are we doing with the stuff on the side?
We did it, you guys.
This is like trash
It
pile.
works.
It has to go somewhere.
Holding pile. No. Not
Yes, it
necessarily.
does. That's a lot of blog posts under there.
No,
They
they're all
should
going
be
to go
recategorized.
somewhere.
No, what's a lot of blog
These
posts? What do we need to?
categories.
What do we need to do?
The category names.
No, I was
the
just wondering-
The menu drop downs are not going to. These are not going to be part of the menu.
So we need to put those
Necessary.
somewhere else, is what you're saying.
This isn't the content. This is just the stuff that you see in the menu. The name you see in the menu.
So it is the content because I have to go back in there and rearrange
Right,
all
it's
those
gonna be
blog posts.
stuff has to be tagged. Tagged.
right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta make sure.
Wait, it's craft beer and adventure.
From when we did this before.
We will go look through that and see how best to.
It's good.
That's
good.
easy.
No. This is awesome. Thank you. But I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We were talking about like a media page because we have a lot of things where we're interviewed by people or like we're highlighted somewhere else.
We're
Like
on other people's podcasts.
we're on other people-
or
yeah.
We're on Camping World's website.
Oh, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
which is I don't know where to put that.
I will
Under the About Us.
do that.
About
Somewhere in there.
would that
Yeah.
be labeled media?
Yep.
Okay.
Or something else creative. We'll.
Yeah, put it in parentheses. You don't have to.
Okay.
We're rock
Us in the news or
Yeah, like in the news or something like that, right?
holy shit, people want to talk to us.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I mean, I'll send you the thing and you can rejigger it.
And it still took 90 minutes. We didn't goof off. Kenny didn't repeat himself.
Is there anything else you want to add in case we do throw this video out here?
Oh yeah, sorry, we're on video.
So I'll pause the video.
No, we can still talk business.
We can.
Do we have any more business to talk?
I'm good. I
I
feel
I
think
think
we're
good
that's
with it.
good. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, if you send that over and we'll look at it and we'll like tweak around with stuff and come up with more questions or just ideas for the live.
I have to say that doing what you just did would have taken us 2 weeks. We still would be arguing about it.
Oh,
Probably.
it's just easier when somebody that you pretty much agree with a lot comes in and goes, "No, Ken, it's going to be this way."
Ben got to be the bad guy.
Or
Why can't you
April.
say-
Or April. April has her things that she's clinging to.
Needs to be a post. Needs to be a post, April.
She's
Needs to be a blog.
she's anti-blog, which is like, I don't know. You could say not a blog or whatever. This is not a blog, but you still get blog in the thing.
This is the-
I don't know. Well,
This
no,
is the not a blog.
I don't know.
I like you said junk drawer, and I want to use that menu thing for something because I love that name
Junk drawer.
What?
instead of
Junk
random
drawer.
writings.
No, not just no, because people
I
won't know
love-
what it is. But when I said
No,
junk,
I love the name of that for something.
But in the footer, it's that big bad mamma jamma of a menu that has all your important categories. Not every little post or anything, but all your important categories that people really will want to find, because you're going to have that text that links that will mean something to humans and search engines, and it'll route people that are interested in that kind of thing directly to that category or that page or whatever. But it's not necessarily your most important thing that you want to put up here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So, okay, we're going to say goodbye to the rest of the people watching this now.